Today I'm going through a Twin Reverb reissue that had some work done to it before that needs to be redone. So these caps that were kind of just tack soldered in, actually one was just like kind of wrapped around. This work gets done all the time and just needs to be redone. Who knows why it was done before? Hopefully it wasn't a paying customer, but hopefully it was somebody that just was doing the best that they could with what they had. I'm just going to clean all this up, make it more reliable. I have to remove the board to get to the traces on the bottom. Here I am cleaning the lugs with solder braid, and then I clean it off with some flux remover. New 220K flame-proof resistors. They don't quite fit on the board perfectly. That's why they're raised up a little bit. They are super stable. You usually don't like things kind of flying up in the air, but if there's no movement when they shake, it's just fine. I'm putting the caps back down. I'm not using any glue. Some people use glue, but the caps are very secure the way that they are. The leads are very tight and they're not going to move, and those solder joints are not going to crack. So there's no need to put glue in this situation. If you ever do have to use glue, please do not use hot glue. Hot glue will just fail. It will just come undone. So if glue is needed, which is usually not, use some kind of silicone glue like RTV glue. Glue just ends up causing issues. It's best if you just don't use glue. Make sure that the components are just very tight and not going to move. That's the best way to do it. I use these mod caps. I use those mod caps. They're just affordable and they seem to be real reliable. I've been using them since they came out and I haven't had any issues. So this socket had been replaced. I want to put a better socket in there and redo all of the connections. Put a little shield, put a shield back on so all the tubes are protected in the back of a combo. I always worry about tubes falling out in combo amps. That's why I like to use shields. I'm just doing all the solder joints, reattaching the heaters. Heaters are always, heaters are always what people struggle with. So you have to be a little bit careful here and do a nice, needy job. If the heaters touch either the chassis or another tube socket, a pin on the tube socket, you could really have issues. So here is the heaters that come into the board, and they are they're mounted on the board with those spade connectors, those disconnects, and they just don't stand up to the test of the time. There's a lot of current that goes through those heater wires, so it's better if they just hardwired right onto either the socket or the pilot light. So here I'm disconnecting this hum balance pot, and that hum balance pot is actually it's the artificial center tap for the heaters. And in lieu of what Fender usually used to do is just attach two 100 ohm resistors. They put a 100 ohm pot on it, and then you can manipulate the heater voltage per side of each tube. It just has proved to be kind of an over-engineered idea, and I've had problems with those pots failing. So I usually just take them out and attach two 100 ohm resistors to ground, which gives the artificial center tap, and you have equal voltage on either side of the tube. There's an argument to say that tubes can have different heater voltages on either side, and you can make it quieter, but in practice it doesn't seem to translate to being useful in guitar amplifiers. Maybe in other types of circuits, but not in guitar amplifiers in my experience. There are some things I did off camera, but I'll just give you a general overview of everything that I did on this amp. remove the hum balance pot. Got to put a plug there. Remove the hum balance pot in lieu of 200 ohm artificial center tap. Hum balance pot typically I find is just more trouble than it's worth. I took the bias resistor off the board, put it on the pot for easy replaceability later. Remove the heaters, put on the pilot light. The board gets hot, and those lugs were actually getting toasty. They crumbled when I pulled them apart. Luckily they didn't burn the board. I replaced the opto coupler for the tremolo because someone had like spliced it in there wrong. There was the wrong value filter cap here. Replaced that, cleaned up some of the old work, replaced this tube socket. Had previously been replaced, and I replaced it with one that functions a little bit better. Also did the caps on the other side, but it's all closed up.